Hey, what's going on, guys? It's FPL Yusuf here, and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be bringing you guys my final team selection ahead of the Game Week 20 deadline. And yes, I have actually activated my wildcard. So I'm going to go through the exact squad I've got. Bearing in mind, there might be a few changes to this before we get to tomorrow's deadline. But I'm going to run through my whole team, why I've picked certain players, and also some changes that I might make, like I said, before the deadline tomorrow. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me today on my YouTube channel for another video. Before we get into this one, if you guys wouldn't mind dropping a thumbs up and subscribing down below, it'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, so yes, I have actually activated my wildcard. I know it's very early on in the second part of the season to do it. Usually I like to prefer to leave it towards the sort of like late 20s, early 30s, but I just felt like my team needed a little bit of a switch up. I needed to start making some different moves to try and gain some rank. So I've used it. I've got a squad. I'm not sure I'm 100% locked in with it, but we're going to cover it throughout this video. So we'll start off in goal first. I've only gone for one playing goalkeeper. If you know, or if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I'm not really a big fan of having rotating keepers. So we're going to start off. We've just got Sells in goal for now. Valdemarsson is on the bench. The only reason why he's there is solely just to save the 0.1 million from going from Fabianski or to any other 4 million keeper. So we've got him as the backup. But Matt Sells will be our set and forget for a while anyway. Nottingham Forest have been decent throughout this season so far. They've been very good defensively. And the difference between him and David Raya for me, because they were the only two choices that I kind of had. But the reason why I've picked Sells over him is because usually when Arsenal concede, David Raya doesn't usually get to the save points because they concede so few chances. It's either he's going to keep a clean sheet or he's not. Whereas Sells and Forest, if they do keep a clean sheet, usually he ends up getting save points and bonus points. If they do concede, there's always a chance that he gets the save points as well. So I edged Sells just over David Raya, also to save a little bit of money. You'll see why that becomes useful as we get through the team. But yeah, for now, Matt Sells will be my keeper. I was contemplating Jordan Pickford. I think it is quite close. There's not really much difference in price between them. Fixture-wise, again, not really much difference over the long term, which is what this wild card's going to be. So it could possibly change. But as of right now, Matt Sells is sort of like 97% locked in. So yeah, that's the keeping situation dealt with. Okay, so now the defense. This is where I think there's probably going to be most likely things to change. So we'll start off with the ones who are already there. Jurrien Timber, obviously suspended for this coming game week, but as of right now, he's my only Arsenal defensive cover in there, so he's going to stay. Anthony Robertson, again, same thing. He's got great fixtures for the next sort of 3-4 weeks, so he's going to stay. Greaves is in there only because, like I said, just to save up money, so he'll stay. The two that I'm really looking at is Gvardiol as the main one who could possibly come out, but also I do have Tosin in there as well. So these are the two that I'm kind of looking at. This current game week going into 20, it's looking like I'm going to start them if I keep them. Now, Gvardiol, we'll start with him first. Obviously, he's 6 million, so he's a much more expensive defender. The guys that I'm looking at sort of rotating with these guys is obviously like some Lewis Hall, Hodgson from Bournemouth. So they're a lot cheaper than Gvardiol, which means I would be saving a lot of money. Now, obviously, I haven't got a Liverpool defender in here, which is something that I've been contemplating as well. Trent being the main one. Van Dijk, if I want to save a little bit of money, yes. But this is kind of where my sticking point is. I'm not sure if Gvardiol is the long term. For me, if I do keep him and he does start this week, he will be here for a maximum of 2 game weeks and then he'll be gone. I don't know whether or not that's a smart move or not. I think this week home to West Ham is fine. It's the fixtures that follow this I'm not 100% sure on. City aren't the best defensively this season. Now, obviously, Gvardiol could, score points going forward, but I'm just wondering, is it worth me just picking like another Arsenal defender, like a Gabriel, like I said, a Liverpool defender for later down the line? Plus, it negates me using a transfer down the line to change him out, which that is going to be inevitable. He is going to leave my team. So that's something that I'm sort of contemplating at the moment. It all depends on, like I said, the rest of the team I'm going to get onto, but also my forward line as well. There's a lot of budget tied up in there, which is sort of hampering me from making certain moves. So we're going to cover that in a second. But yeah, Gvardiol for me is somebody that I'd say I'm 60-40% in keeping it at the time of recording. Tosin, 4.2 million, I think is actually quite a good price to enter the Chelsea defence. I do just wonder if when Fofana comes back, I don't think he'll play as much. Is it a transfer down the line, which I'm going to have to get rid of anyway? Greaves, I'm not expecting to play. So that kind of leaves me a little bit light in defence. I could move him up by 0.2 to Hodgson from Bournemouth, or if I did drop Gvardiol, use that extra bit of money to move him up to Lewis Hall, which is something else that I'm considering. So I think there's a lot of questions still surrounding this defence and whether or not this is the team that I'm going to be 100% convinced on. But as of the time of recording, this is what I've got so far, but that could be subject to change. So I think the midfield pretty much picks itself this week. There's not really that many options that I'm looking at. Salah and Palmer are just going to be in there without saying. Salah's just the best player in the league this season. Palmer's just ticking over nicely as well. I know he blanked last week, but you know, he'll come good. So I'm not really too fussed about them. Diaz and Gordon. Now, these were the two that were sort of, I was looking at maybe downgrading and freeing up some money. However, the fixtures that they've got coming up this week in particular, you know, Diaz against Man United at home, Gordon going away to Tottenham, I just couldn't bring myself to get rid of them. I just think that there's going to be goals in these games. Now, Ismail Assar, I've got on the bench as my fifth midfielder. He, again, was a little sort of switch up between either him or Morgan Rogers, and that could still change. I just think with the upcoming fixtures that Palace have got over the next sort of 3 or 4, I really do like his upside. And I think he's probably just a little bit better than Morgan Rogers over the short term. Over the long term, yeah, definitely Morgan Rogers, I think, is better value for money. But like I said, with this wild card, I'm trying to catch rank as quickly as I possibly can. So I'm looking for players who have got high upside, high ceiling. And I do think Ismail Assar, with the way he's playing for Palace at the moment, he's got double the amount of shots of any other Palace player. So for me, he's somebody that not necessarily want to start this week because they're playing Chelsea, but after this, I think they've got Leicester, they've got West Ham, they've got Ipswich, they've got nice fixtures coming up. So yeah, the midfield kind of picks itself. Maybe in a few weeks' time, you know, the likes of Gordon, Diaz will leave, and then we'll look to somewhere else. But for the time being, this is going to be the pretty much set and forget midfield that I've got going on. There was an outside shout from Burmo. Now, if I do, you know, end up making some moves, downgrading Gavardio, downgrading possible some of my forwards, which I'm going to come on to in a second, then maybe we could look to move Gordon up to an Mbeumo. Obviously, they've got a great fixture this week against Southampton. It's the ones after this that I'm not too keen on. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and see on that. But like I said, I think the midfield is probably the most secure thing on this wildcard draft. So that's the sort of 4/5 that we're going with. Now onto the forwards, we've got Isak, who I just had to get in. He was top priority on the wild card. That was kind of a big reason why I was playing it, was to get him in there. I've gone for Raul Jimenez and Ollie Watkins either side. Now, Chris Wood is definitely on my mind, and this is where this sort of short-term transfers, I'm asking myself, is it worth it? So Raul Jimenez, obviously the same as Anthony Robinson, has got good fixtures for the next 3 or 4. I would want to move him out after that. There was a little bit of hesitation for me sort of getting rid of Gabriel Jesus after he just come off of another great fixture for Arsenal. But I just felt the money saved might just go a little bit further. So for me, Ollie Watkins is here. He's going to be here probably for 2 weeks. There is a view to hold him longer, but he just holds so much of the budget. And then Chris would obviously play Southampton in 22, and I'm going to want him. So obviously you can't have everyone. So something's got to give at some stage. The ones that I'm looking at obviously are Ollie Watkins, Anthony Gordon, and Luis Diaz. And Gavardio. That's kind of where my money's tied up in players that I might look to get rid of. It's a difficult one. I think the key question for me this week is, do I go for the upside of Watkins against Leicester at home and then Everton away? I think Everton aren't as bad as what we think they are. You know, they're quite solid when they are at home, and obviously Duran will be back for that game. So really, if I'm going for Ollie Watkins, it's kind of for this week only. And of course, he's got a high ceiling against Leicester at Villa Park this week. But is it enough to want to just keep a player for 1 week, then transfer him out after? I don't know. You know, Chris Wood's got Wolves away this week. Then he goes to Liverpool in 21, but then Southampton from 22, and I'd probably want to keep him onwards after that. So this one's a real decision. So I'd be interested if, you know, you guys want to leave your thoughts in the comments down below about this one. I think that Ollie Watkins and Gavardio are my 2 big sort of things that I'm thinking about this week. Of course, if I move Watkins down to Chris Wood, it frees up a lot of money for me to move to the likes of, you know, Mbeumo if I wanted to, or to move, you know, Gavardio up to Trent, or, you know, move Tosin up to Lewis Hall. So it does free up a lot of money. It does make the overall squad better. But obviously Watkins against Leicester at home is just such a fantastic fixture on paper. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, this team isn't 100% locked in, but I'd say it's probably about 90% of the way there. There's just a few odd decisions left to make, but I'm sure we'll come to a conclusion before the deadline tomorrow. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Any questions you guys have about my wildcard draft, about maybe something that you're doing, feel free to drop it in the comments down below. I will get back to you guys before the deadline. Fingers crossed this week will be another solid week for all of us. You know, hopefully green arrows, you know, going around. Hopefully we'll get some big points coming back. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And I'll catch you guys next time.